Hergen Flurgen, Sweden. All right, April 22nd, 2020. We were talking about Sweden. Sweden, first of all, this headline is not right. Sweden claims coronavirus success after keeping country open, says herd immunity imminent. They did not claim success. This is interesting. This is very fake newsy. This is unhelpful, and this is part of what the narrative media has been doing. Sort of pitting people against each other and ideas against each other that should not be contrary. And the pandemic architects in Sweden pushed back very hard against this narrative, and they just weren't listened to, because at this point, our media had transitioned into attack mode. This is very controversial. It still is controversial. The other part of this headline, Sweden claims coronavirus success, they were claiming a degree of success here, but it was not on the virus yet, really. At this point, they were still killing their old people, just like Cuomo was. At this point, what Sweden was claiming success about, and again, they weren't really claiming success. That's kind of fake news. They were cautiously optimistic about the other aspects of their society, which are just as important as coronavirus. Their children, their job market, their economy, their national mental health. These were the things that we were screaming about, because here in America and in the UK and other places, it had very rapidly become a COVID-only, very myopic approach that was unhelpful. And that continues to be the main issue that Team Reality has had with the COVID strategy of much of the West, which was COVID only, COVID only, COVID only, COVID only. How is that helpful? I would argue that it is not, and it's awful. And look where we are, thanks to you panicky douchebags. And around this time, we had learned that Sweden had pulled a lot of their kids out of school, but then quickly put them back because the data and evidence showed that kids were not a spread problem. And they even took masks off the kids because they realized that there was no real data around masks. So the economy kept going. Their kids were not harmed, and their national mental health was much better, and their national health on everything other than coronavirus was much better. And even at this point, they were experiencing better COVID outcomes than most of Western Europe. And Sweden was the only one that kept their head on their shoulders. Were they perfect? Of course not. Nobody has ever claimed that Sweden was perfect. The point is that here we were arguing a year ago about Sweden. We're still arguing about Sweden. Sweden followed the pandemic playbook, and they did demonstrably better on all of the key points that a society has to pay attention to. Not just COVID, not just the pandemic du jour, not just, freak out X, but the holistic approach. That is the sober approach. That is the scientific approach. And Sweden did it. Yay, Sweden, seriously. You brave souls.